Are you looking for the best starter unit in SpongeBob Tower Defense? If so, watch till the end of the video to find out. Alright, so in today's video, we're going to find out what is the best starter unit out of the commons. So Gary the Snail, Patrick, Sandy, SpongeBob, and then Squidward. Right off the bat, I chose SpongeBob just because he's my favorite character. And I think from what I've seen, I think SpongeBob is the best. Alright, so now that we're loading in right now, I'm going to be going in order from Gary, Patrick, Sandy, SpongeBob, and Squidward. And I'm going to be placing them in the middle right here so they could get the most amount of damage. Because I'm calculating this off damage. And right off the bat, I'm seeing that Gary is only doing 8 damage, which is crazy. And his upgrades are 220. Every other common is 150. All he does is slow them down, which is pretty good, but if you're gonna slow them down, you're not doing any damage. So it's just so bad, and I would literally use any other common than this. So this is about to die. It's already at 30 health. Um, yeah, so he got a total of 2,392 damage, and he lasted for 55 seconds. Alright, so we're going to be moving on to Patrick, and he has a decent range, so I'm gonna put him in the middle so he gets every area, and he low-key takes up a lot of space, but he's already doing 42 damage a hit. And it looks like it does AoE, so like whatever is close to it, it does damage to it. So I'll do a quick time lapse of this. Alright, so Patrick got 10,485 damage and he lasted for 50 seconds. Alright, moving on to Sandy. I think she does like a karate chop. Yeah. She does decent damage, but she only hits one time. She does 45 damage first off, and her upgrades are about this 100, which is probably the cheapest, I think. So I'll give you a quick time lapse of this. Alright, so Sandy did 17,000 damage and a total playtime of 57 seconds. Alright, moving on to SpongeBob now, which I personally think is the best unit, just because he does splash damage. If you see, he also hits multiple times, which is amazing. And his range is pretty decent. It's not the best, and he's actually pretty cheap. It's also 100 like Sandy. And I'm gonna give you a quick time lapse of this. Alright, so SpongeBob had a total of 15,194 damage, and he lasted for 55 seconds. Moving on to Squidward. I've actually never seen Squidward, but I'm pretty sure he does like music, yep. And he is not that bad. He does like 14 for every 3 or 4. So I'll give you a quick time lapse of this. Alright, so Squidward had 26,209 damage and it lasted for a minute and 3 seconds, which is the best out of the 5 commons. So if you're going to choose a starter, I'd have to choose Squidward. And next we're going to be moving on to the uncommons. And for the uncommons, we have Barnacle Boy.
I'm not a boy. I'm so old I got hairs growing out of the wrinkles on my liver spots. One pipsqueak patty. And your bib and high chair. I'm 68 years old and I want a Krabby Patty.
Your pipsqueak is getting cold. Shall I feed you?
Feed this, old man. I'm tired of playing second banana to a man who wears a bra. From now on, I want to be called Barnacle Man. And I'm through with protecting citizens that don't respect me.
I respect you, Barnacle Man.
That's Barnacle Boy. I mean, man. But forget you people. I say if you're not going to give me any respect as a hero, then maybe you'll give me respect as a villain. A villain who is evil.
The Goofy Goober waiter.
Oh, Mr. Waiter, 2 more, please.
Whoa!
Bubble Bass.
Methinks thou forgot my gravy, thou lumpish clay-brained flapdragon.
Jim.
I need more money in my paycheck at the end of every week, capiche?
And Gene Scallop.
This week, I reviewed the Krusty Krab restaurant, a local burger joint that's second to none. Or should I say second to run, since this critic wanted to make like a banana and peel out the minute he saw how drab this crab really was.
That bad, huh, Gene?
Barbara, once I stuck my beak through that door, my appetite flew south for the winter. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say this restaurant smells like the rear end of a goat.
And I think the Goofy Goober waiter is the best out of the uncommons. And I'll give you a quick time lapse of this. Alright, so Barnacle Man got 5,929 damage and he lasted for 55 seconds. And now we're gonna be moving on to the Goofy Goober, which I personally think is the best troop that of the uncommons. So I'm gonna give you a quick time lapse. The Goofy Goober waiter got 26,436 damage and he lasted for a minute and 5 seconds. Now we're going to be moving on to Bubble Bass. And I'll give you a quick time lapse of this. Alright, so Bubble Bass got 28,948 damage and he lasted for a minute and 9 seconds. And then next we're going to be moving on to Jim. And I'll give you a quick time lapse of that. Alright, so Jim lasted 54 seconds and he did a total of 11,322 damage. And for the final troop, it's gonna be Gene Scallop. Um, and I'll give you a quick time lapse of this. Alright, so Gene Scallop got 18,934 damage and it lasted for a total of 59 seconds. And that concludes all of the uncommons and commons, and I'm going to be posting up the results. Alright, so Squidward has a total of 26,209 damage in first, Sandy with 17,090 in second, SpongeBob with 15,194 in third, 10,485 for Patrick in fourth, and Gary with 2,392 in fifth. Now moving on to the uncommons. Alright, so we have Bubble Bass in first with 28,948 damage. Then we have the Goofy Goober Waiter with 26,436 damage in second. Then we have Gene Scallop with 18,934 damage in third. And then we have Jim with 11,322 damage in fourth. Then we have Barnacle Boy with 5,929 damage in fifth. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like these, check out the video in the middle of the screen.